Welcome to a Fat Monk bonus episode. A short take on things Taoist. Written by Xiao Xingzhe and read by Nick Dent.
Resolving Confusion, Cultivating Transcendence. Bai Yu-Chan, 1194 to 1229, was a key figure in southern Song dynasty Daoism and internal alchemy. The following is written as a discussion with his teacher, Chen Nan, who died in 1213, the fourth patriarch of the Nanzong lineage. The excerpt translated below is section 4 of the Zazhu Zhixuan Pian, miscellaneous essays guiding toward the mystery, found in Bai Yu-Chan's Xiuzhen Shishu, 10 books on cultivating trueness. Other essays in this section include discussions of the valley spirit, ascent and descent of yin and yang, and a discussion on the chamber of the elixir. This particular passage is notable for how clearly it states that context will determine the meanings of alchemical terms, and for its precise directions regarding getting to grips with the practice. Resolving confusions in cultivating transcendence.修仙辨惑论. Bai Yu-Chan from Hainan Island had studied with Chen Nan since he was young. Before he knew it, 9 years had passed. One day, amidst the mountain crags under some pines, when the moon was full and the night was still, Bai Yu-Chan was thinking about death, the brevity of life, and impermanence. He arose and, kowtowing to his teacher, said, "Your student Bai Yu-Chan has not followed you for long, and having assessed himself, knows that his innate ability is meager. But he dares to ask, can he hope to become an immortal in this lifetime?" Chen Nan said, "Everyone can. Why not you?" Bai Yu-Chan said, "Although it is pushing the bounds of propriety, I would like to ask a presumptive question. How many avenues exist for cultivating transcendence? Xiuzhen. How many methods are there for refining the elixir? Biàn. From my ignorant viewpoint, it's like being unable to differentiate jade from a rock. Please give me a word that can spark transformation." Chen Nan said, "Come here and I'll tell you. There are 3 levels of cultivating transcendence, and there are 3 completions in the refining of the elixir. The path of celestial transcendence, Tianxian, is the ability to change and transform, to ascend in flight. It can be studied by superior persons of learning. Lead, Qian, here is the body. Mercury, Gong, is the heart-mind. Water is settled quietness, Ding. Fire is wisdom, Hui. In the space of a brief moment, it can congeal, Ningjie. Within 10 months, the fetus is complete. This is the highest quality method of refining the elixir, and in itself needs neither depiction by trigram lines, Guayao, nor measurement of dosages, Jinliang. The method is simple and uncomplicated, and passed on from heart to heart, extremely easy to complete. The path of fluid transcendence, Shui Xian, is the ability to move between the hidden and the apparent, Chu Ru Yin Yin Xian. It can be studied by those of middling learning. Here, Qi is lead, spirit is mercury, Wu, which means variously noon, the peak of yang, high summer, and so on, is fire. Zi, meaning variously midnight, the deepest part of yin, winter, and so on, is water. In the space of 100 days, it can be compounded, Hunhe, and the image, Xiān, completed within 3 years. This is the middle level of refining elixir, and while it does use depiction of trigram lines, it does not need description of dosages. The method needs subtlety, yao miao, and thus is transmitted orally. It is definitely possible to complete. The path of earthly transcendence, Di Xian, is the ability to remain living on the earth, liu xing zhu shi. Anyone can study it. Here, semen, jing, is lead, blood is mercury, the kidneys are water, and the heart is fire. It can be fused together, rongjie, within a year, and the effect completed within 9 years. This is the lower-level method of refining elixir, needing both depiction of trigram lines and dosages, quite complicated and difficult, and is thus passed on in writing. But I'm afraid it is hard to complete. The superior elixir method uses vitality, spirit, hun, po, and intent, jing shen hun po yi, as medicinal substances. For the firing process, it uses movement, halting, sitting, and reclining, and in application, it is all quiet stillness and being simply as one is. The middle-level elixir method uses kidneys, heart, liver, lungs, and spleen as the medicinal materials. For the firing process, the year, month, day, and hours, and the application is to embrace the source and hold on to the one. Bai Yu-Chan. The lower-level elixir method uses semen, blood, marrow, qi, and fluids as the medicinal materials. For firing process, it uses closing off, swallowing, striking, and rubbing, Biàn lei mo, and the application is to concentrate on ascent and descent, cun xiang shengjiang. One should not try to, quote, choose a champion racehorse from a diagram, unquote. The wonderful aspect within all this is not to be found like that. Someone who is overly literal and attached to images and words might become puffed up and vain, but even by old age will have attained nothing. Bai Yu-Chan said, "I have been reading alchemy books for many years, and it had always been like walking amongst brambles and thorns. Now, today, it is as though the dust has settled, the mirror is clean, the clouds have opened, and the moon shines clearly. Finally, the myriad methods have been unified, and all the fantasies brought back to reality. But I still do not know exactly where I should place my hand to begin the work." Chen Nan said, "That's a great question. The crucial thing in refining the elixir is to use the body as the altar, the oven, the cauldron, and stove. Tan lu ding ao. Take the heart as the chamber of spirit, shen shi. Gather and harvest by sitting upright and practicing stillness, duan zuo xi ding. Attend to the fire by managing attention, cao chi zhao gu. Proceed or withdraw through activity and cessation, yi zuo zhi wei jin tui. And use deliberate breaking off of concentration as your defense. Yi duan ju bu zhuan wei fang di. Take application as increase and decrease. Use the smoke and steam of true qi to bathe. Use attention to the breath, xi nian, to nourish the fire, and your battlefield activity should be the subjugation of your body and mind. You withstand the siege by congealing spirit and gathering qi. Life and death are decided by remaining aloof from the world and cutting off worry. That place where thoughts arise is the mysterious female. Kneading all into one is the connection, jiaojie. Returning to the root and restoring life is the completion of the elixir. Transferring the spirit is changing cauldrons. Having a body outside the body is being reborn. Returning to the fundamental and coming back to the source is true emptiness. breaking apart that emptiness, 打破虚空, is the true completion, 了当. Therefore, one is able to gather and become a form, 聚而成形, or to disperse and become qi, 散而成气, coming and going without obstruction, free and easy, being just as one is. Bai Yu-Chan says, if one is diligent and disciplined, one will eventually encounter a realized person. But if one has had the encounter, but does not do the work, one ends up only as a lower ghost. But what experiential evidence is there for this method of refining the elixir? Chen Nan said, when one is just beginning to refine the elixir, the spirit is clear and the qi fresh, the body and mind harmonious and free. Old illnesses clear up. There are no disturbing dreams. One can go without eating for 100 days and drink wine without becoming drunk. At this stage, red blood turns to white blood. Yin qi is refined into yang qi. The body burns like fire, and one walks as if flying. Water put into the mouth evaporates. You can cook meat just by blowing upon it. Looking upon scenery without caring, unmoved no matter what, you employ ghosts and spirits as your servants. With a call, you bring on thunder and rain. Your ears perceive the 9 heavens. Your eyes can see for 10,000 miles. Your whole body is pure yang, with golden tendons and jade bones. Your true form is revealed to be yang spirit, coming and going naturally. This, and only this, is the finish of the path of long life without death. Still, I am worried that worldlings will become fixated on the words about medicinal substances and firing process, taking them as physical and something to act on, and thus be unable to achieve insight. Don't they know that prior to the differentiation of the original chaos, there was no year, month, day, or hour? Before the birth of your parents, you had no semen, blood, qi, or fluids. The Tao is formless, so we use analogies of dragon and tiger. The Tao has no nomenclature, so we make comparisons of mercury and lead. The study of celestial transcendence needs both form and spirit to be subtle, miao, that together with the Tao one may unite with the true. One must not be bound by yin and yang into the midst of the 5 elements, but instead leap beyond heaven and earth. Only then can one be termed attainer of the Tao, 得道之士. Some may doubt and ask whether this method and the Xiān method are not almost the same, but they do not know that just conversing in question and answer sessions all day is only a dry wisdom. Spending the year sitting silently in a daze is just inflexible emptiness. In fact, the study of celestial transcendence resembles a pearl in a crystal bowl, revolving magnificently, vivaciously, spinning naturally like a top, gleaming. What we call celestial transcendence is actually a golden transcendence, a marvel incapable of description. Who can know it? Who can bring it into practice? If a person knows the 2 classics, Jin Gang Jing, the Diamond Sutra, and Yuan Jie Jing, the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, then the meaning and significance of the golden elixir will become clear. Why should there be any need to distinguish between Daoism and Buddhism? There are not 2 paths under heaven. The heart of a sage is only one. It need not be said that everyone has the capacity. Each and every one can attain enlightenment. This is what is meant by the proverb that there is always a tree to tie your horse. Every doorway can lead to the capital. I.e., there's always a way to achieve what you want. It's just a matter of selecting the route by which you travel. Bai Yu-Chan said, so many people in the world are studying transcendence, but it is often the case that many study but never encounter a teacher, or they encounter but do not practice. or they practice but without discipline. And because all of this, they reach old age and complacently go to their death, residing in Hades. Is this not a pity? I'm going to take your words with me today and carve them into wood to pass on all over the world. But leaking heaven's intimate secrets like this is a serious matter. Will I be reprimanded? Chen Nan said, I am sparking spiritual transcendence and transformation in the world. Making this a crime would mean heaven being less than celestial. Anyway, the classic says, my fate is in my own hands, not in heaven. Who would reprimand you? Bai Yu-Chan said, our founding teacher, Zhang Boduan, tried to transmit the Tao 3 times to people who were unworthy, and 3 times met disaster. What was this about? Chen Nan said, those were times that he lacked discernment and clearly was not employing his heart to its fullest. Sigh. The teacher is in the heights of heaven, the disciple in the ocean's abyss. It goes without saying that it is difficult to really know people in the midst of one's work in the world. The present widespread publication of this can make those studying transcendence search out texts, assay their meaning, and clarify the subtle principles. This is receiving the instruction of heaven. Why should one necessarily only receive transmission by tongue or pen? If you can be silent and still, free from thought, even in the midst of thought, your meditation pure and unalterated, turning into a single whole, silent all day long like a hen incubating her eggs, then your spirit will return and your energy will come back, and you will spontaneously see the opening of the mysterious pass. There is nothing beyond its greatness, nothing more fine than its subtlety. There is but making one primal chi into the mother of the golden elixir. Carried out with discipline, a day will come when you can ride with Zhongli Chen and Lu Dongbing. The intention of this writing is to carefully gather the important parts of this question and answer session for the student who has no guiding compass, and thus it is called Resolving Confusions in the Study of Transcendence. Please check the show notes for some important clarifications and explanations.
Thank you for listening to the Fat Monk Podcast, produced by Ben Thomas with music by Flora Carbo. Please like and subscribe, and go to the show notes for links and further content. If you'd like to become a material supporter of the podcast, click on the coffee button at the bottom of the show notes.